This is brand new rock and roll. It's from Julian Lennon from an album entitled Mr. Jordan. Here's Now You're in Heaven on the Loop FM98. Sounds the Loop FM98 with the Allman Brothers Band off Ida Peach and Melissa. Supertramp did Dreamer and Julian Lennon, brand new music from Julian. Now You're in Heaven. He is going to be our Rockline guest Monday night at 10:30. Live from Los Angeles. If you've ever wanted a chance to talk with Julian Lennon, well, you'll have your opportunity come Monday night. Every Monday night on Rockline, it's another major artist or rock and roll band for you to chat with. And I think it should be a pretty interesting show come Monday evening. So, pencil me in, will ya?
Live via satellite from Hollywood, it's Rockline, the show where you interview the hottest stars in rock and roll. Hello again, I'm Bob Coburn. Rockline is brought to you in part by Budweiser, the king of beers. Tonight, Rockline is an evening with Julian Lennon. So get your questions ready and call toll-free at 1-800-344-ROCK. That's 1-800-344-7625. One number toll-free from anywhere in North America. After a 3-year hiatus, Julian Lennon has charged back onto the music scene. His new CD, Mr. Jordan, is getting airplay across the North American continent and is reflective of a revitalized style and energy for Julian. And it's a pleasure for Rockline to welcome Julian Lennon. Good to see you here.
Well, thank you.
It's been a long time, 3 years now.
It's been a couple of years, yes.
Now, Julian, this is really a different approach for you, and for the most part, a new band. How did you discover this style, and what led to the formation of the band that you're working with?
Well, it was basically, over the past 2 years, I've just been meeting a lot of different people and just experimenting with different styles and finally finding a niche where I was completely and totally happy. And that's how simple it's been, But obviously it's the 2 years... It took a long time to find the right people to work with again.
It seems you've discovered the lower register of your voice as well.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah, well, before I used to just sing in one range, basically my speaking voice. And the first song I actually wrote with a guy on the album called John McCurry, new guitarist I've been working with. The first one we did, it was actually a tune before we made it into a song. And we finished the whole song, and we'd mixed it all, and then finally put the headphones on and sort of mumbled with the mic and tried to come up with some ideas, and realized that we'd actually written it in a key that I wasn't used to singing in. And I sang low, and I left it for a couple of days and sort of came back to it and said, yeah, I really like that. Why didn't I think of it before? And so since discovering that has opened up a lot more avenues for different styles in the future, you see.
Now, the other thing I want to ask you is, who is Mr. Jordan? This is from a film, isn't it?
I'll keep it brief.
Yeah.
While we were doing the album, it was time to come up with a cover concept, which means the front or the back covers on the album. And a friend of mine was working on a sketch of a fallen angel, which is an angel ripping its wings out because he wanted to stay on Earth because he wanted to experience the rest of his life and fulfill his dreams, so to speak. And I loved the sketch so much that I thought, well, how can I tie that in? And the sketch reminded me of a film I'd seen recently and a long time ago called Here Comes Mr. Jordan, which is the original version of Heaven Can Wait.
Warren Beatty film. Yeah.
Right. And it was based on this musician who'd been taken away before his time. And Mr. Jordan is the guy that helps him back to Earth to experience the rest of his life and fulfill his dreams. More like a fresh start, a second chance, which is what I look at the position I'm in at the moment. And the other ties are basically connected with all the themes in the film. Love, life, death, dreams, hopes, beliefs, confusion, a bit of everything. So, but the main tie is the fresh start.
We're going to play a song right now from the album, the latest by Julian Lennon, which is Mr. Jordan. This is Now You're in Heaven on Rockline on the Global Satellite Network. Now you're in heaven. Julian Lennon from Mr. Jordan on Rockline on the Global Satellite Network. Our first call for Julian tonight from Fort Worth, Texas. Theodora is on the line, a listener of Q102 in Dallas. Good evening, Theodora.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Very good, thank you.
Well, that's great. Julian, I heard your album and it blew my skirt up. You really took some bold stripes and really put it all out on the line here. I have to understand you went to Switzerland?
Well, yeah, I sort of, it was time to, after the last album, it was time to get away from all the sort of associates and business people that I was working with at the time. I felt very pressured and very crowded by them. And it was just time to get away and start fresh and clear my head and get in control of my own career, which I hadn't been up until that point in time.
So you went to a neutral country.
Yeah, there you go, of course. Yeah, why not?
Theodora, nice start. We'll take a time out and continue in a moment. Call us toll-free at 1-800-344-ROCK. It's an evening with Julian Lennon on Rockline tonight. Welcome back to Rockline. We just began an evening with Julian Lennon. I'm Bob Coburn. We have a new station to welcome to Rockline tonight, US 97 KXUS in Springfield, Missouri. Nice to have you on, and we'd love to hear from you this evening. I have a call now from Baltimore. It's Barry, a listener of 98 Rock. Barry, you're on with Julian.
Hi, Julian.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. Do you prefer to write alone, or do you prefer to collaborate with other songwriters?
Well, I do tend to, I mean, all I do all day is sit at a piano at home, you know, and fiddle about on the piano, but I do think it's nice to work with other people in a sense that you can bounce other ideas off each other, you know, or if you come to a point where you hit a brick wall and you just don't know where to go from there, and you bring a friend in and say, well, what do you think of that and where can I go, you know, and someone can just sort of click something in you, and that helps move you along. You know, it may be something very small, or it can be half a song. You know, it really can. And
you did a little bit of both on
yeah,
this,
I did a bit of both on this album, yeah.
Good call, Barry. Thank you. And you call us again sometime. Let's head to Oklahoma City, see what Keith has on his mind. He's listening to Rock 100 The Cat. Keith, you're on the Rock line.
Hi, Julian. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
I think your new album is just great.
Thank you.
Okay, my question is, has the pressure of being a superstar son, has it been hard on you?
It hasn't been easy, you know. I mean, even from the point where I started going to school, it was a bit of a nightmare, to say the least, you know, because being in, although I hate to call it the business, being in the business, Dad and Mum moved around like nobody's business. And, you know, every time I go to a new school, the first thing you do in the morning is have some sort of assembly, and the headmaster would stand up in front and say, well, kids, we'd like to welcome the son of very famous the Beatles, Julian Lennon. Please stand up. You know, so day one, you sort of like, well, who are my friends? You know, it's really difficult. And the only way having, although I hate to say this, having the name Lennon has helped was actually during the first album, when it just brought people, brought me to people's attention, you know, sure. To give me a chance, you know, which was great. But apart from that, it's not easy, you know, because it's as far as the critics are concerned, you know, if they've got nothing better to do, they'll just criticize you and compare you, and it's a constant battle which I used to fight against, but these days, you know, I'm in a position where I'm very happy, and I just say, and I'm doing exactly what I want to do these days, you know. I've done the album I've always wanted to do. And I just sit back, and they can sit behind their desk and criticize till the day they die, and I don't care anymore.
Good for you.
I really got to that point.
So difficult to create and so easy to criticize.
Yeah, I'm not angry with it. You know, it's just that it's time for me not to sit around and waste my time thinking of other people's opinions about me. You know, I've got to get on with my life and enjoy it as the best I can, and get out there and do what I can.
Here. Here you go, Keith. Thanks for being on tonight. Connie wants to talk to Julian Lennon. She's in San Luis Obispo, listening to 95.3 KPGA. Hi, Connie.
Hi, Julian.
Hey, Connie.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, how far did you go in your education, and do you have any other career interests other than music?
I sort of, well, the last school I went to, which was the school where we take O-levels and A-levels in England. The first year I went there, I worked hard to prove to myself that I could do it, and I was in the first 3 for the whole year. After I proved to myself that I could do it and get the marks that I needed if I had to, then as soon as I knew I could do that, I laid off. I sort of got into music. So it's not the best idea because I feel I lack a certain amount of knowledge, you know. I felt that I've never been a big book reader, which I've always wanted to be, you know, and because I've always sort of sat around outside and watched life go by, I like to get out there and experience things for myself rather than read about somebody else's experience. But I think I've done quite a bit of that on my own, so it's time to start reading books for me. You know, I'll get into it. It's going to be it's going to take time, but I'll get into it, and I'm going to be happy for doing that because I'd like to know a little more.
There you go, Connie. Thanks for being on the Rockline tonight. We're going to play some music by Julian as we go back to the first album, WLUP. This is Too Late for Goodbyes on the Global Satellite Network. Too Late for Goodbyes, Julian Lennon from WLUP, his first album on Rockline. Back to the phones. Our next call for Julian is Billy from Colorado Springs, a listener of Kilo 94 in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Billy, you're on the Rockline with Julian Lennon.
This is Billy Gonzo from Kilo 94 Rockline. Now I'm in heaven. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So how did it come about to sing a number for Chuck Berry on his Hail Hail Rock and Roll special?
How did that come about? Actually, I got approached by Chuck and his people because Dad was one of Chuck's all-time favorites. Chuck decided to try and get in touch with me and see what I thought about him. and I just said, yeah, listen, I'm up for it. And basically, before the album, I mean, it was the live film, Hail Hail Rock and Roll, that we were involved with. It was a little tense, a little nightmarish, but it was great. It was a wonderful experience working with him. Chuck tends to like to tease people a lot. In fact, what happened in my case was he decided to change the I was following him harmony-wise, parallel, and he decided to change where he was singing to another harmony, and I was like, what happened? And finally found out where he was and got back to it. So if you hear a sort of little bit on the record, which sort of I disappear or get lost, that's what it was.
And that's what it was. Great story there. There you go, Billy. Thanks for being on tonight. Let's talk to Anita now in Burlington, Ontario, listening to CKOC in Hamilton. Anita, you're on the Rockline.
Hi, Julian.
Hey, how are you?
Happy birthday on Saturday.
Oh, thank you.
I'd like to know how you got involved with the hunting of the Snark play and soundtrack. Was it before WLUP as of time, or was it before Secret Value?
It was actually after Secret Value. I'd just come off the road, and I'm trying to remember the guy's name that actually got Michael Batt, I think his name was. He was putting the whole thing together and just had me in mind for the part of the baker. And I sort of said, well, I haven't really done anything like this before. And we did the album first, and then he decided to come up with the stage show, which was, getting dressed up as a baker and doing it was almost like a modern day opera kind of thing, which was great, but very nerve-wracking, but wonderful experience. And that was just before I took leave and sort of disappeared for a while. Now, was that soundtrack available in the UK predominantly? I don't know if that was released over here. I don't know what happened to it over here, because it was, I felt it was a great project, and I didn't hear anything about it over here, which was quite upsetting, but you might be able to find it somewhere.
Look in the import section. Anita, thanks for the call. We're live and nationwide across the North American continent. We go from Canada back into the States to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Rock 108 is our affiliate, and this is Jennifer. Hi there.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
I wanted to wish you a happy birthday, and thank you for including the lyrics in your...
Yeah, well, it was about time, wasn't it?
Okay, I have two questions.
Okay.
I've written a lot of letters to you at your fan club, and I was wondering, do you ever read any of the letters there?
Well, yeah, what happens is I get like months of all the stuff goes to the fan club, and like every couple of months I go around there and try and sift through as many as I can, but it's kind of difficult, and it has been lately, because obviously I'm out and about doing lots of promo and traveling a lot, so only when I actually get, actually come back home and sit down for a long enough period do I get a chance to do that. So I'm sorry if I haven't got round to you yet, but I'll get there.
Now, you're doing Rockline tonight. You have been on a promotional tour throughout the U.S. and then Europe before that.
And Europe before that. It was a new city a day routine. So we'd fly into the city at, 7 in the morning, do TV, radio, and press throughout the day, and do a hospitality gathering at night, and then fly off again the next day.
The next city.
So that was for about 2 months, which was a little tiring, but I made it through.
Jennifer, what else is on your mind tonight?
Okay, and also, are you planning a tour yet? And if so, are you planning to come to Albuquerque?
Well, I am planning a tour, yeah. We're in the we're early stages yet. We're starting rehearsals in about 2 weeks. And we're actually doing a club tour first. We're sort of going to go around and say hi to a lot of people, just let them know I'm still around, and really get back to the basics. I'm putting a sort of rough and ready band together at the moment, in which we'll just go into the clubs and sort of turn it up to number 11 and scream for 2 hours, and then just sort of move on. And I couldn't exactly tell you what cities or what dates are set up yet, although I do know that we'll be over here in... June or July. June or July we'll be around.
Check with your radio station there in Albuquerque, Rock 108. They'll keep you informed. And thanks for calling, Jennifer. We have to take a time out. We'll return in just one moment. It's an evening with Julian Lennon. We're just getting started, so don't go away. Phone us toll-free at 1-800-344-ROCK. We're live. Call now. It's Rockline. Welcome back to Rockline. It's an evening with Julian Lennon. I'm Bob Coburn. We're live and nationwide in the U.S. and Canada. We're going to play some more music from Mr. Jordan now. This is called You're the One on Rockline. That's nice. You're the One, the name of that from Mr. Jordan, the latest CD by Julian Lennon. Let's go back to the phones. Our next call for Julian from Bowling Green, Ohio. We have Laurie on the line, a listener of FM 104 in Toledo. Good evening, Laurie.
Good evening. Hi, Julian.
Hi.
My question for you is, I was wondering if you get involved in a lot of benefits for social causes.
I would do, and I will do, when the timing is right. I feel I've had enough trouble trying to sort of organize my own life at the moment, sadly to say, but I had a lot of problems in the past 2 years or so that I had to really sort out for myself. And also being in a position where people really want you too. You have to be... people, I mean, the organizers that do those kind of benefits really want a big name in there, and I haven't exactly been around. The first album was good for me, but the second album I wasn't particularly happy with, and no one else was either. So, I mean, maybe if this one takes off, then, I'll be in there and I'll be helping as much as anybody can.
There you go, Laurie. Thanks for being on the Rockline tonight. We're going to talk to Diana now in Akron, Ohio. WMMS in Cleveland is what she is listening to. Diana, you're on with Julian.
Hi, Julian.
Hi, Diana.
Birthday.
Thank you.
When you oh, great, I'm nervous.
It's all right. Take your time. Don't worry about it.
What was I going to ask? I just told the guy what I was going to ask you, but I can't remember.
Now, that's a question we can't answer. Yeah. we don't know what you were going to ask. Do you recall?
When are you going to produce anything? Are you going to be a producer in the future?
Well, I actually felt I co-produced on this one to a degree. I really did. Reason being is that most of the songs... See, when I did songs before, I used to do them in a very sketch form and finish them off in the studio, which meant a lot of help from the producer. Whereas this time round, and having the time that I needed and the time that I wanted, I finished most of the work 95 to 100%, all the way around, and that includes arrangements, what instruments, where, when, what time, you name it. And so producer-wise, all I was looking for was someone who could transfer what I'd done in the demo form to a live recording situation, make it sound great, and that was that. So, yes, I have great interest in that, and maybe next time I'll go into co-production and then maybe try it on my own. But I like to work with people to bounce ideas off, just in case I'm heading in the wrong direction for some reason. But yeah, I'm definitely interested, yes.
Now, you interviewed how many people to produce this record?
I don't know. I went through about 10 or 15, and, we sat down and we sort of interviewed each other. It was a very bizarre situation, and I played the demo tape to them, which was completed in its musical sense and musical terms. And a lot of them had their own perceptions of who I should be, how I should sound, all that kind of thing. And a lot of them would actually stop the demo tape in between and say, well, wait, we can do this, we can change this, I said, wait, hold on, whoa. I said, I've done it, so I just, and finally Pat Leonard walked through the door, and I sort of, it was a gut reaction, it really was, it was instinct. I walked through the door and I said, that's the guy, I just know it. And we sat down, and before he actually heard the tape, I said, well, what do you think we should do? And he said, well, judging from the stuff that you've done in the past, I think the stuff you should do should be a little harder edged. I think you should be more aggressive, more live, more accessible as well, in your lyrics.
Music to your ears, I bet.
Yeah, and I played him the tape, and he said, there you go. So I said, okay, let's go then. And we did, and there you are, and now we have it.
There you go. And see, Diana, you did great. Thanks for calling. Let's move on now and talk to Eva in Hamilton, Ontario, listening to CKOC. Eva, you're on with Julian Lennon.
Hi, Julian.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you, or tell you before I begin, if you could pass on a message to Justin and say two people are very grateful for his friendliness when you were in Toronto the first time.
I will do that.
Very much.
I'm sure he's listening in at the moment. So.
Justin Clayton, your guitarist.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
My question was to do with your second album and why it was never really played a lot on the radio.
People didn't like it that much, you say. Well, there's a lot behind that. It's a long story. I wasn't very happy with, as I said before, with the people I was working with business-wise. And when I first started out, I looked at the first album like I was guided. I was the new kid on the block. I was learning the ropes, but I was happy with that. That worked great. The second album, I felt very pushed, and I always thought from the beginning, well, I sit down, I sing, I compose, and I perform. The business guys, they take care of all the necessary details and whatnot. But as I discovered on the second album, that they don't necessarily make the right decisions for you, Mm-hmm. And a lot of that was politics and business and a lot of other things. And also, I wasn't particularly happy with the second album. I just didn't feel like... I think it could have been better. There's stuff on there that had great potential, and I don't think it's anybody's fault except for the time, It was just the wrong time and the wrong place, and I don't blame Phil, the producer, either, because he felt he was under the same pressure as I was, and we were mixing up to the point where it was, well, it's time to hand over the tape now. And I said, wait, well, give us a second. Finish the song yet. So it was difficult. It was just really bad timing on everybody's behalf,
There you go, Eva. Thank you for calling tonight. It's an evening with Julian Lennon. Plenty of time for you to call toll-free, 1-800-344-ROCK. You're listening to Rockline Live as it happens. Stick around. Stick around from the secret value of daydreaming. Julian Lennon, my guest on Rockline tonight. I'm Bob Coburn. Our next call is from Holland, Michigan. University of Michigan won the NCAA championship. Congratulations to them and all their fans. We welcome Tom to the Rockline, listener of LAVFM in Grand Rapids. Hi there, Tom.
How you doing?
Hey, Tom.
How you doing, Julian?
Good, thank you.
Listen, can I ask you a question?
Yes, by all means.
Do you have any plans to make any movies in the future?
No. Actually, I used to be interested before I seriously sort of discovered that I could compose and how it related to other people. I was very involved in art and acting. But you know, one career is enough. You know, this one's been a lot of hard work and always will be, and I'm thankful for it all. But one is really enough. You know, I think it takes time to get good enough all your life almost to keep the standards up on one career, let alone try two. I feel that there's only a couple of people that have just about done it successfully, you know, crossed over. I think Bowie did a good job in one or two spots, but apart from that, I don't think there's really many out there that have been convincing enough.
Sure, a couple other people,
yeah, but you never know. There may be a change of heart 10 years down the line, but I'm definitely not looking at anything to do with acting or anything else until I'm happy with this album, of course, but I hope to continue being happy with the albums that I produce.
and the next one, and the next one,
and the next one.
Good call, though, Tom. Thanks. We appreciate it. We're going to talk to Rick now in Atlanta, Georgia, listening to 96 Rock. Rick, want to introduce you to Julian Lennon.
Hello, Julian.
Hey, Rick.
Congratulations on the new LP. It's really good, man.
Thank you very much.
I see this new name of John McCurry splashed all over the album. I'd like to know how you met him and how that is going. And also know that you mentioned David Bowie a second ago. I noticed that it seems like there's a Bowie influence on the album.
Okay, well, let's think one at a time. John McCurry. I actually met him through a bass player I was touring with, a guy named Carmine Rojas. And I'd met him many times, quite a few years back, and we actually became buddies over the last 2 or 3 years. And we'd always wanted to work with each other because we liked each other's styles. But only last year, you know, we finally had a chance to sit down in the same room and try a couple of ideas out. So, and he's also coming out on the road with us, which will be great too. What was the other one?
Go ahead, Rick.
Go ahead.
Rick?
Come to Atlanta and see us.
Yeah, well, we'll be down there.
What was the other question you had, Rick?
I noticed the Bowie influence.
The Bowie, right. Well, no, I see a comparison. The comparison that I see, let me rephrase that, is that I'm singing low. You know, I don't really find any other comparisons in that. But I'll tell you a little story. Here we go. Once in a while, we actually get to meet up, Bowie and I, and we play each other ideas and tapes and see what we think of them. And he'd heard the demo stuff that I'd done. He said, all right, sounds okay. Let's hear the finished thing. So I said, oh, all right. So when it was finally done, he just sort of turned up on the doorstep and said, okay, turn it on. Turn it loud as you can. I want to listen to it. So he sat there and listened, and through the album, he sort of glanced over at me and went, okay. And I mean, I was sitting in the corner shaking and sweating. I was thinking, oh God, it's not what's going on here. And finally, when it was over, he came up to me and said, well done. You've done it. I said, what? Well done, I've done it. He said, yeah, it's great. So I said, well, listen, if he's happy with it and I'm happy with it, there you go.
I hope you're happy with the answers there, Rick. And thanks for being on the Rockline tonight. We'll take a time out and return to our evening with Julian Lennon shortly. Call us toll free. We're live, so call now. 1-800-344-ROCK. We're talking rock and roll on Rockline.
Hi, gang, this is the Money Man, the man with no control, and I love my rock and roll. That's right, Eddie Money. And I'll be taking your calls live on this nationwide next week on Rockline.
We'll see you in 1 week, Eddie. Tonight, an evening with Julian Lennon. Another song from Mr. Jordan, the latest CD, I Get Up, on the Global Satellite Network. Get up! I Get Up, Julian Lennon from Mr. Jordan on Rockline and Bob Coburn. We go back to the phone now to Campbell, California. Tina's on the line listening to KRQR 97.3 The Rocker in San Francisco. Hi, Tina.
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
Great.
Julian.
Yes.
A few years ago, I saw you taking a driving test on Dick Clark's bloopers and practical jokes.
Yes.
First off, how did you feel about the joke? Did you pass the test? Are you still friends with the person who set you up? And maybe you'd like to explain that story to all of us.
Well, I was over... I was over here so much that I thought, well, I better take my test over here. And I'd actually taken the real test, but what happened was, how they all set it up was they said, well, because you're English, you need to take a part 2, the special test. Yeah, thank you very much, laughing out there.
Studio audience.
It could happen to you one day.
Having a good chuckle in the other room.
And so it wasn't a test as such, you know. They didn't evaluate anything because it was all pranks anyway. And, you know, I was a little suspicious of it, but I felt I had to go along with it because it could be real, you know. But when I did arrive on the site, I did sort of notice, like, 5 vans, trucks parked round with mirrored windows and cables running from the bottom of them. I sort of went, okay. Well, so I went through it. I was scared as hell. And the woman that was screaming at me for running over people I was just sitting there trembling. But the person who set that up was actually one of the business people that I used to work with. So as you can see, people who play jokes don't sort of last in the business around here much long. No, but it was a nightmare, but it was fun at the same time.
Fun stuff. Tina, great call. Thanks. We'll hear from you again, I'm sure, and you're welcome anytime. Let's talk to Jeff now, Minneapolis, listener of 92 KQRS. Hi, Jeff.
How you doing, Bob?
Great.
Julian Lennon, this is really intense.
It is?
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. I'm a musician, too. After I heard Vlad, I realized that our writing styles are sort of similar. It would be great if one time you could hear one of my songs and tell me what you think.
Well, I mean, that's always possible. You know, the best thing is to send whatever you have to the management company, you know.
All right.
I mean, that is the best way around, because I'm not in one place enough time, you know.
Uh-huh.
So, the management company, and they send it on to me, you know, if it's...
we can do that easily for you, Jeff. Send it to Rockline P.O. Box 4383, Hollywood 90078. We can do that very easily, and they'll get it, guarantee it.
I'm taping this, so I'll write down the address later.
There you go.
Julian, okay, it's sort of a general question. How has your lifestyle changed since Vlad in '84, and what kind of life would you like to see yourself lead career-wise and personally?
Okay, where do I start?
Really?
Well, let me think. The first year, WLUP was, as I said before, it was a learning experience. It really was. So I was very scared and nervous throughout that whole period, just purely because I'd never dealt with any of that before. And the success of it all didn't hit me egotistically. Like, I didn't walk around saying, yeah, well, I'm the best thing on 2 legs these days, you know. That's not why I'm in the business I hate to call it business again, but there you go. That's not why I'm here in the first place. I am here because I have a passion and a love for music. And as I said before, whatever happens to me, I'll still be sitting at the piano until the day I die. And I got caught up with a lot of very interesting and strange people within that first year in the tour and the second year. And again, it was hard finding people you could really trust and have faith in, you know. I lost a lot of trust and faith and money and friends and everything due to all of that. And it was a harrowing and very sad experience, but it was something that I went through, and I feel that anybody new in the business really has to watch out, you know. Really, these days, to be involved in music, number one, it has to be for the right reason, I feel. Although there's a lot of business bands out there, that's what I call them at the moment, which are just out there to bring in the cash, and that's it. Music goes far beyond that and is much more important than that, and music came about years ago when people just loved listening to music, but it's a business these days, and you have to be a businessman to be able to take charge of your own career. And that really does mean sitting down, working out details, meeting people, and being in control. You know, otherwise you're going to get messed around, and you're going to lose people, friends, and money. And that's what happened to me. So it was a happy time for the first year. The second year, it was depressing, purely because of the pressure. As soon as someone that you're working with says, okay, you have this much time to do what we want you to do, you know, that is an instant rock on your shoulder. It really is. And And I felt that, again, the business people that I was working with weren't making the right decisions for me, if decisions at all at some times. And I felt very let down, you know. I wanted to make the second album great, you know, and you know, the first album had done so well. I was all up for spending time and making sure it all went well, but I got guided the wrong way, and I wasn't strong enough at that point in time to actually stand up and say, hey, what are you doing with my life? What are you doing with my career? And I felt that everything was going down the tubes. And a lot of other people, a lot of business people around me were saying, well, listen, if he doesn't make it this time around, he's not going to have a chance next time. And that worried the hell out of me, you know. And it was very scary, and I got very depressed and let down, and I felt it wasn't my fault, you know. And that, again, was due to not being in charge or being in control or being a yes-no man and taking hold of your career. And so I literally, after and during the second tour, went into a serious depression for about a year. And I went out on the town every night. I almost killed myself due to, I mean, not suicidal killing, but just from drinking and being out and doing other stuff, and I just didn't know what to do. I was very confused. And the thing that changed my mind was waking up one morning a year later and looking in the mirror and saying, what have I done to myself? You know? And first of all, the first thing was the physical thing. Well, I'll get my mental health back to shape, then physically, and then find new people to work with and get involved in the business. And that's the majority of what's been happening in my life, you know, finding people to work with and also getting back to music, which is the main point and the love of my life, you know. And I felt the business side of music had overtaken the music, you know, itself. You know, it was all decisions and politics, which was all new to me, you know. When I first got involved, it was just I'd let it flow by and we'd deal with it, you know. But now that's why I've been away for 2 years, because it's been that the time for me to get in control and be the yes-no man and say, well, I want to do this, you know. And it has made a difference. And I've done the album that I've wanted to do. Everything involved in it is what I wanted to do. And I've been doing the rounds and letting people know that I'm back and around and willing to go out and ready to get on tour, you know. And everything's been great for me, you know. I'm just overwhelmed at how things are going, and I hope they continue in this fashion. You know, I'm just... I'm happy, you know.
It seems quite obvious you've regained control of your career and
yeah,
your life.
It's self-confidence too.
You betcha. We'll take a time out and return with Julian Lennon in just a moment on Rockline on the Global Satellite Network. Call us toll-free at 1-800-344-ROCK. Only one number for the one and only Rockline.
FM98.
Welcome back to Rockline. It's an evening with Julian Lennon. I'm Bob Coburn. The WLUP album was released in October of 1984. As you heard a moment ago, a lot has happened between then and now. Let's listen to WLUP by Julian Lennon on Rockline. WLUP, Julian Lennon on Rockline. I'm Bob Coburn. Back to the phones we go for another round with Julian here. From Thunder Bay, Ontario, we have Gil on the line, listening to 94 FM. Welcome to Rockline, Gil.
Hi, Julian.
Hi, did you just wake up?
No, how are you doing?
I'm good.
It is late where
I
he
just
is.
woke up, so don't worry about it.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
And I'm very glad to see you come back into scene.
Thank you.
And all I want to know is, how did you come about to write the song WLUP? Like, was it about something special in your life?
Yeah, I mean, it was basically written on dreams and being content with the one you love. That basic theme, to bring it down, to sort of cut the story short. Yeah, I tend to write music first, and I tend to improvise when I write. I had one piano lesson, and I hit a wrong note, and I got slapped over the hand with a ruler, and I said, this is no way to learn music. So I started teaching myself after that. And so I do improvise when I write, and generally, depending on what happens with the next chord, that tells me what kind of song it's going to be. And then it shows what style it's going to be after I've written a verse musically. And once the music is finally done, the music gives you a feeling. You know, it tells you which way you're going to go. I mean, you can tell a sad song from a happy song, obviously. And from that, I sit down with the headphones and come up with, try and sort of mumble and come up with ideas and lyrics. And I'll come up with one word, generally, and from that will spark something off with something that's happened to me in my life, or whether it's something I've believed in or dreamed about or hoped for, you know, and it'll go from there. So it can be a very quick process. It can be, it'll come about in an hour, or it can take a year to write a song. And Gillette took a year.
Took a year, really?
Yeah. Well, I'd had the music for over a year, and I always knew which vein it was sort of headed towards. But finally, I mean, I don't sit around waiting for sad stories to write about, you know, but an actual thing happened in my life, and that came about, and so I wrote about it.
You were actually able to help your friend through that song, too.
Yeah, I mean, the song is about someone I was involved with, and what happened was she was involved. A lot of traumatic things were happening to her, and literally, she was at a point where she just wanted to, you know, kill herself, and it was obviously hard on her, but it was hard on everybody else too, because she'd made certain attempts before, and I didn't know how to deal with it. You know, it was the first time I dealt with that kind of thing. And it was actually during the album that this happened, which was last year. We actually did the album last September, August. And literally, I was in the studio playing the song, and I used to walk in every morning sort of depressed and whatnot. And I finally hit on the idea and sort of went home and wrote the lyrics without her knowing. And then went back into the studio and did the song, and then came home and said, listen, just sit down for a second and listen to this. Tell me what you think. And she did, and then she started crying, and then she started realizing what she'd been doing to herself and what she'd been doing to everybody else around her, you know, her family and me. And she said, is this what's been happening? I said, yes, this is what it's been all about. It's been hard. And from that point in time, she sort of realized and stopped, you know. And as far as I know, she's still okay. She's fine, you know. It changed her. And that was the first time that I'd seen one-to-one how affected people are by things you write, you know. Yeah. And that also is going to make me think a lot for the next album.
We'll take a brief time out and return with Julian in just one moment on Rockline on the Global Satellite Network.
Julian Lennon here on the Loop FM98.
Welcome back to Rockline Live and nationwide in the U.S. and Canada. I'm BC. It's an evening with Julian Lennon. We're going to play another song from Mr. Jordan now, an album full of good songs, including this one. This is called Mother Mary on Rockline. That's a brilliant piece of work. Mother Mary is the name of that from Mr. Jordan, the latest by Julian Lennon. We're about to run out of time here, but we're going to try and get a couple more calls on. We have Carrie on the line from Austin, Texas, listening to KLBJ FM94. Welcome to Rockline, Carrie.
Hi. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Carrie.
Congratulations on Mr. Jordan. I really loved the whole thing.
Thank you very much.
You played two of my favorite songs, too.
Oh, good.
And Mother Mary, and those are my two questions. I was wondering if Mother Mary was inspired by Mother Mary, or if it's just maybe like a sexy Sadie. Ha ha. And if you're the one maybe inspired by your own mother.
Well, You're the One was sort of based on a few people. It's really written about the woman behind the man. You know, the strength that there's someone to come home to that will always be there and strong for you. That will be with you throughout trouble and happiness and everything else that you go through in life. So it's really a thank you to the mothers, the girlfriends, the wives. It's a general thank you, you know.
And Mother Mary?
Mother Mary. Well, Mother Mary was... I actually wrote it from a sort of third-person point of view. I wrote it... I looked at it as like I was looking at a kid growing up, having religion stuffed down his throat throughout his life. And at a certain point... at time, you know, in his age, he does something against that religion, and he's confused and wonders whether that religion is right in the first place, or will it accept him back. But really, the song is not about religion. It's an example, based on when you grow up and you get told things throughout your life, you're guided to a degree, you know, and you listen to other people. But what it really says, although it doesn't say it in the actual song, is that you're the one, your mind and your heart is the excuse me, I'm getting really confused here. You're the one, your heart is the thing that has to say yes or no for you. You have to make those final decisions for yourself, no matter how much anybody tells you anything at all. It's your heart.
There you go, Carrie. Thank you for calling. Thanks to everybody for calling and for listening tonight. Next week, Eddie Money. Coming soon, Mike and the Mechanics, the original Doobie Brothers, much more. Also, thanks tonight to Tony Smith, Patty Spinks, also Jill Yamashiro of U.S. Management, to Judy LeBeau and Tony Mandich of Atlantic Records, to you, Julian, for being here and for a superb CD.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And happy birthday to you this Saturday.
Oh, shut up.
I'm PC. I'll be seeing you in a week. You've been listening to Rockline, brought to you in part by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Rockline is engineered by Jimmy Height, Conrad Pignon, Jim Pettyjohn, and Jeff Levy, and mixed on Yamaha professional sound equipment. Musical instruments are provided by the Guitar Center in Hollywood. Special production by Jimmy Rash and R.J. Lane. Technical direction by Mike Correa. Our assistant to the producer is Sharon Sanchez. Thanks to Kevin Stevens and Greg Jernigan for their special help. Rockline is produced by Mark Felsot. Executive producer Howard Gilman. Rockline is a presentation of the Global Satellite Network for distribution in the United States by the ABC Radio Network and in Canada by Telemedia Broadcasting Systems.
And you hear Rockline every Monday night at 10:30 exclusively here on the Loop.